As someone who's been actively selling on Etsy for the last 5 years, I have learned a lot. And the strategies that I would implement today, moving into 2025 to launch a brand new Etsy shop, are wildly different than the strategies that I've used in the past. So that's why in this video, I'm gonna give you high-level strategy tips on some of the things that you should do that I failed to do when launching your Etsy business for the first time. So this video is gonna be a quick video on 3 strategies that I would do today if you're considering opening up a shop in this year or in 2025 to ensure your success. The first thing I really failed to do that I actually didn't do at all is spend more time in the research process of your shop idea. When I first launched my business, I didn't do any research. I just chose a product idea, a brand idea, and just went with it. And then on the back end, figured out all the logistics and tried to overcome all of the problems and learned all the problems as they came, which is somewhat a normal part of business. You don't know everything about the business you're about to start until you really start doing it. But what I didn't do is spend a little bit more considerable amount of time weighing out the pros and cons of going into different niches. And so what does the winning look like in this research development phase? The winning is analyzing different potential brand ideas or niches and weighing out the pros and cons of them. What's not winning is once you have, a deck of cards or, a table of cards where you potentially could pick up this one, and this one, what's not winning is trying to pick up multiple cards at one time. The winning is having a pros and cons list of each and or different business type opportunity and picking up one single card that aligns with you and what your goals are. So our pros and cons list is what is the outcome of the research that we do of the potential brand idea. So our bullet pointed pros and cons list could be something like this. On one side, you have logistics pros, logistics cons. So what are all the pros about the logistics of what it takes to get this product to fruition? Do you have to source raw materials? Do you align with the type of product and where you're going to source the raw materials from? How much work is it to logistically get the product idea to a finished product? If you are doing print on demand or digital downloads and you've never acquired the skills of design or you don't know how to do design, logistically, you're going to need to learn that skill set. Does that excite you or is that a con to you because you don't want to do the design work and you rather outsource it? You want to analyze all the pros and cons of logistically, what is it going to take for you to bring this product line to life? The next thing that we want to research and make potential projections for is potential revenue and profit margins. In this exercise, we're not going to know perfectly what our profit margins are going to be and what our potential revenue is going to be, but we want to make projections. We want to make educated decisions based off what the market is saying. So based off of the competition that's out there, we want to go look at their sale prices. We want to estimate, product costs or what it's actually going to cost us so we can actually lay out the profit margin potential across one niche versus another niche. The third thing that we can add in those pros and cons is product alignment. So how do we spiritually align with the thing that we're selling? Is it something that excites us? Is it something that you feel like it drains your energy? Because ultimately you want to go after a product opportunity or build a business around products you spiritually actually align and enjoy either making or working with or being around. We can tell the businesses that last for the long term have CEOs and owners that actually align with the product that they're selling. And finally, the fourth thing that we can add to that pros and cons list is the competition. Is this a really competitive niche that we're going to enter? What are the things that we need to do to actually compete? What value propositions do we need to have? What types of variation do we need to offer? Do our competition all offer personalization? Do we need to have personalization in order to compete? These are the questions that we want to ask ourselves when we're analyzing that niche in terms of competition. And we want to add those pros and those cons to that list as well. And so again, the outcome of this is that we have an educated decision on each business venture or opportunity that is on our table. And then we can confidently pick off one single card and only focus on that one business idea. The worst thing we can do is try to pick up multiple cards at the same time. You need to focus on one thing before moving to the other. Master one thing before moving to the next. And now, while I don't regret the businesses that I opened. It's just logistically, one of my brands is very much, you can call a logistic nightmare in terms of how we get the raw materials, what we have to do to quality control the raw materials, what we have to do to get that into production, what we have to do to then track all of our products, something that has taken us 2 years to master. And while we have mastered it, I feel like we've mastered it. Looking back, would I have gone into that product opportunity? Probably not. Now looking back, I probably would have done digital downloads, but at the time I didn't do any research, so I didn't even know that was a thing. And my last final point here is, again, it doesn't matter what card you pick up. It's just that you want to make sure that that card is something that you can foresee yourself doing for many years to come. It's not about overwhelming yourself with too much information. It's about seeing what cards you have on the table, what they entail, and picking up one, not delaying that decision. That's also key. Once you've done the research, pick up a card, go full force. Don't turn back. The second strategy that I would have done is I would have set up a trackable business from the beginning. So with my first company, we got to over 1,500 products without having an ability to track our products in terms of our product costs, actually. So when you're selling physical goods, this is not the same issue if you're selling digital downloads or print on demand. When you're making your own goods, like us, you have to have a way to identify your items in order to then say, this item costs me this much money. And there's no way to do this in Etsy unless all your product costs are the same cost, unless you have something called a SKU. And so I got over 1.5 years into my first company business venture, and it was crazy because we had a guess of how much profit we were making, but we didn't actually know. And so obviously, if you see my videos, I built a software that solves this problem for people. But if you're super new and you're not interested in paying for software, especially when you're first starting out, is just making sure that you build it into your processes, that you're setting up your products to be trackable. So that means giving it a SKU when you launch your listing, or just having a living document that says product A costs me XYZ amount after you factor in raw materials, packaging costs, my shipping label paper, labor, if there was labor built into it because you have an employee, which you probably won't when you first start. You want some sort of document that is not only identifying your product, but tracking how much it costs. Why is this so important? This is so important because when you build a business already not feeling confident in that, then it leaves a huge question mark for the amount of funds that are left over in your sale price to go to your marketing cost expense, which is Etsy ads. Now, let me just back up here if I didn't just overwhelm you enough, okay? If you need to learn how to build a SKU system, we have a free SKU generator tool with a free training in my link in my description. If you're somebody interested in learning about SKUs, why we use SKUs, how to use them, how to make them, because at the bare minimum, you at least want to be giving your product SKUs, because it took us over a month to backtrack and put a SKU on 1,500 products. And like I mentioned, my software Profitry is obviously going to do this automatically for you. But at the bare minimum, if you want to do it yourself, you're going to need an identifier that's telling you how much your product costs. So you need to go into your Etsy listings, give it a SKU, so then at the end of the month, you can export a report from Etsy that tells you all of the different SKUs that you sold. And then you can match up what sold to their cost. When you don't have clear insights of your business month over month, that's when things get really dishonest with your business, because it leaves room for us to make decisions based off how we feel things are going instead of how things are actually going. And that is exactly what I did. And the choices you make on the offshoot of that are impacted by you living in this guesstimation with your business. When you have hard, concrete data that tells you your marketing cost percentages, your fees at the end of the month, your products that sold at the end of the month, we can see real shop data on the health of our shop. And the only thing that matters is profit at the end of the day. And again, this is especially important when you want to turn on your ads. And I have a free training on Etsy ads in my channel if you want to check that out next. And finally, the last strategy that I would implement sooner than later, which I didn't launch with in any of my brands, is having a listing launch schedule. So when you are first starting your Etsy shop. You are customer service, you're doing photo shoots, you're doing product development, keyword research, you're doing all of these things. And so what tends to happen is your workday is overwhelmed with 1,000,001 tasks. And different tasks require different levels of energy and creativeness and effort. And what do we know about an Etsy engine, right? We know that you need to have a consistent inflow of new launches happening. And so what I did, especially with my first company, is I would work at everything at random and in reaction to just things that would come up. Oh, I need to make a listing 1 second. The next second I'm on customer service. The next second I'm doing fulfillment. The next second I'm running to the post office. So what I would do is backtrack a little bit and think about things that make the business more money and figure out how to prioritize those tasks in bulk in my weeks and in my months. So for us, how this has manifested is now every month we know that at minimum we're going to be launching 10 new listings per month. And that doesn't mean we're launching 10 new products per month. That means that we have a mix of new products coming to market and split testing other listings with other products. So putting 2 bestsellers in a listing together and see how that sells, or take a listing that's going down and not performing and giving it a fresh new round of photography and see if that brings that product back to life. And so now what this has manifested into is that we actually have a schedule every single month of when we have photo shoots, and those are on dedicated days, the editing of those pictures, the listing optimization, and everything is happening in one batch. And so then for that month, we know that we completed that. And for us to get 10 new listings to market, it's about a 2 to 3 day effort to just get the images, to get all the product variations set up, to get all the images edited, titles, the tags, and descriptions. So every single month, we know that there is a launch schedule happening to ensure that we have this consistent inflow of new products. And how the Etsy algorithm works is like a filtration system, basically. You're constantly feeding it new, either updated listings, like duplicating and running it again, new listings, or new products, and you're letting the algorithm pull out the ones that it likes. And having the ability to be in a creative space to design and do photography and all this stuff is one type of headspace that's wildly different than customer service and fulfillment and post office and fixing your printer and organizing your office, right? It's a creative side of your brain. So batching the creative work together like this really made the flow of the business go a lot better. And guys, I'm gonna have a whole workshop actually coming out on this topic, energetically how to plan out your weeks and your months, because this is something that I really struggled with. I still struggle. It's not like I even perfected it yet, but it's definitely something that I think will help a lot of Etsy sellers because, you know, it is overwhelming when you first start a business. You are bootstrapping this business, you're doing everything by yourself, but we have to, one, create goals for our business, and then we need to define how we're going to achieve those goals by strategically setting up our weeks, and our months, our quarters, and our years. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for that workshop coming out soon. And any tool or resources that I mentioned in this video, you're gonna find in the description. Bye, guys.